in my opinion, to me, it was more of a negative on the negative side. You know, I didn't think we played as well as we could have played. I thought we prepared to play, but it's about performing when it's on Saturday, and we didn't perform as well as I'd like to see us perform. I thought our team was a team we could beat. I felt that team was ready to be beat, and you know, we let it get out of hand again. You know, later on in the game, and they put 42 points on the board. But earlier, I will say I was somewhat happy about the fact that we got on the board first. You know, we started making a football game out of it for the first time the whole year. What was a nip and tuck, you know, going into halftime in a reachable situation to win. And we got out of hand in the second half, and they moved away from us and made it tough to score. You know, we killed ourselves. You know, we're giving the opponents a stick to beat us with, and we just can't continue doing that. We can't keep giving the games away and giving interceptions and things of that nature on different things of just on mental mistakes and just errors. And so we got to cut that out in order for us to be successful.
The last couple of weeks, you were saying that this team hasn't gave up, like to fight it out. Did you see something differently in that second half?
No, I think we fought in the second half. I think we got momentum going. I felt when we got down 15 points, when we got back on the board and hit it 15, I think it made a momentum boost, but they came right back and scored a touchdown on the tight end down the field, you know, fake and go. And, you know, we got caught looking in the backfield, and they scored. And that kind of, you know, broke our backs again. Every time we got a high, we got something to break us, you know, to give us a low. You know, we got 2 fumbles in the game. We did some good things, got the ball recovery and things of that nature, but we didn't capitalize on it. If we got close, we drove ourselves back. You know, those type of things. And it's got to be consistent football in order to move ahead. And we're not playing good, consistent football. We're playing in spurts now. That's like coming out at halftime. We come out at halftime, we're in reachable position. We think we're going to be ready to crack it, and wham, touchdown on the kickoff return all the way down. And those type of things got to stop. We got to come out and bring it all the time. We can't relax and say, well, we got a shot at this, and then hope somebody else can make the play. We all got to make the play.
Coach, back there, we did score first, but that's supposed to kind of like be the hump.
I thought it was. I believe, you know, that's what I thought it was very important that we score first. Very important we get on the board and get that momentum, you know, get going. And we had it early. We got on the board. Everything was. We missed the extra point though, but we're still going on the board first. And then they came back, and you know, we're starting to get into a real game now. And you know, the young quarterback throws the ball straight to a defensive tackle, and he runs in and gives them 7-6. You know, just a play like that to put them back in the game instead of us running away, we put them back into a ball game and give them momentum. And so now we're not scoring, we're waiting, we're holding back, and I think we scored some in the third quarter, and we got neither of us scored in the second quarter, I don't believe. And I think in the third quarter, we may have gotten one, but in the fourth quarter, they moved out with 14 points. And so, you know, you can't play football like that. We got to be consistent. We got to stay consistent in each quarter. We got to put 14 points on the board and shoot for 14 to 15 points each quarter, you know, instead of going dry. You know, we have a little tendency to go dry sometime, or maybe we're not calling the right plays. I don't know, but I'm going to find that out today.
Peterson stayed on the run quite a bit Saturday, the quarterback. They kept him.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. You know, we got to come up with some type of, you know, that's a pitch and go type scenario, or in a quick pass scenario. You ought to be able to get that ball out right now. We may have to change some of the blocking on that, maybe a few more cut blocks. And I think we need to cut people down a little bit to stop their momentum from getting upfield. We got to take their legs from them right now. I think so, and that'll make people think before they think they can run upfield and get our quarterback as easy as they have been.
Because you let them stay in. Whatever, hey, you got to stay in the fire. You got to learn. You didn't change quarterback Saturday.
No, we're going to go with him. He can run. You see what he did on the first touchdown. He can fly, get downfield, and do some good things. That was his first game, and you know, he's a junior college quarterback, so I'm expecting him to perform. We don't have to teach him all day long, but we got to show him our system. And so I think he'll be fine as we go down the road. If we stick with a guy like that, I think he can help us. But we do got, you know, Dontrell that can come in there and play also, number 2. And he can do a fine job as well. So I think, and also we got Pat Ivy. You know, don't forget about him. Pat can throw the deep ball, can do some good things for us as well. He understands the system. So we got 3 quarterbacks that I think can help us. We just got to come up with a guy that's going to have the confidence that can move the football and move the chains. That's what I want to do. I want to move the chains and keep the defense off the field.
Talking about confidence, where is the confidence right now in the locker room with those guys?
Well, you know, I'm sure like everybody else, you know, we're all picking and looking and wondering, you know what I mean? We're only human, you know, we're wondering, you know, well, geez, you know, is it going to come, or, you know, do we have the right combination? Are we playing the right combination? Or they're wondering, are we calling the right play? You know, everybody's wondering, you know, because they know that you know, when you want to win, you start, you know, trying to find a way, but trying to do more than what you should to win. I've seen a guy who was right there on the tackle, but he spun out because he's doing somebody else's job. So guys are kind of doing other people's jobs rather than doing their own right now because they want to win. So, you know, that's, you know, they may not have to speak of confidence, but they're playing like they're trying to be the guy that can help us win. Everybody want to be the guy that can help us win, and we got to settle down and become a team because it's not an I in this thing. And so once we get back there, you know, we're all wondering, you know, we're picking every little thing we can pick up. We're imagining everything we can imagine. You know, we're looking at film and, you know, it could have been a good play, but it was a bad play. You know, if he did this, we could have did that. You know, those type of things. So, you know, naturally our minds are wondering, you know, wait, can't we just get this thing in click and get this thing in gear? But we just got to settle down and go into the next game. And that's what we have to do. We can't take this ball game into the next ball game. And if we do that, it's going to end up the same way. We got to let that go and move forward now. And if we do that, I think we'll be fine. I think the players are prepared for that. I think the coaches got to get prepared for that. I think the players are ready to move on to the next one. We got to get this out of, you know, it's harder for us to get it out of your claw than it is a lot of times for the players. But we got to move on. We got to move on and move this out. I got to meet with the coaches today so that we can move on.
They say when you lose games, you find out more about your team. Or you find that to be the case with this?
Well, yeah, you find out a lot. You find out a lot about personnel because you see a lot more of them. You see a lot more things that's creating the losses. But the last thing you want to do is blame it on the players. You know, we got to find out a way. If they're not hitting, we got to find out a way that they can hit. If they're not doing what we need to do, we got to find out some way to push their button, and so they can be successful. And that's our jobs. That's what we were hired for, to come here to find a way to get them to be successful. And that job cannot stop.
Coach, you have new coaches and new players. You're new to them. How much of this is newness to the whole system for the players? The government's not there yet. I mean, you've seen it before.
Right. Well, you know, I think probably, you know, they, nothing comes without work. And I think, I think we're starting to realize that. And those guys who are not working, giving 100%, are finding out that you can't win without giving 100%. And I think they're sold on the fact that they want to give their all. Or they wouldn't get up as early in the morning and come out there and sacrifice that time and practice hard and do what they need to do. You know, I think it's going to eventually come around. I really believe it with all my heart. But right now, we're just not able to reach and grab hold of that yet. You know what I mean? The ball is shaped real funny, and one day it's going to bounce our way. You know, it's a funny shaped ball. It's not a ball you can roll through a guy. It's a ball that's going to wobble which way to where it needs to be, and one day it's going to wobble our side, and that's going to turn this program.
Last week was last week. How do you get this team and ready to move forward versus Sept?
Well, we got to watch film. We got to, change that tape. You know, we got to pull that tape out and slide another tape in. And the tape we got to slide in is Texas Southern. You know, we got to focus on them, do what we got to do, and go over personnel. And once they start honing in on Texas Southern, this last game won't mean a thing. You know, it's just their attitude that they're hurt right now because of the fact that they've come so close, you know, that we've let it, we've given it away. They know we've given it away. They know it. And they're trying to find a way to stop giving it away like we are. And so I think we're going to be fine. I think this team's going to be fine.
Coach, you sent other players to the sideline on Saturday regarding back. Is the message clear that you're going to have discipline on this football team?
There's no doubt about it. You know, it was unnecessary. You know, don't get out there and fight in front of the public and try to show how tough you are. Show me out there on that field. If you're going to be tough, be tough in between the lines when the whistle blows and say, hey, let's be tough out there. But I don't need you acting up in any other way.